yet. We still have one more match to go, of course, Bliss and Wildcard. One which I'm sure will excite. On one hand, we have a team that's revitalized after stage one. On the other hand, we have a team that really performed incredibly in stage one and were dangerous throughout. Don't know really where I sit with this one, Dev. I'll be completely honest with you.
Definitely a hard game to pick because you've kind of got, obviously, Wildcard need almost no introduction. One of the staples of our region, and they even went to Tokoname in 2019. They were on the world stage at that point, have had a pretty significant downfall, especially when they lost Diesel. But now they've got a proper player in to substitute instead of their coach, Silex, or their manager even. And with Molosca, I think that it can definitely do a lot more damage. Molosca's a really, really strong player, a bit of a young gunner. And also Wildcard have had the addition of Rousty, who's a coach, formerly coached the European Rogue roster. And Bliss, on the other hand, right, like they are a strong team, but never one that really broke into the top four until last season. So this is going to be a tight game as we dive into the Wildcard roster.
Yeah, of course it will be. I think, honestly, on the back of last night's performance, I think we just have to kind of brush that aside and look to OCN for really Wildcard's dream start that they would want here. A roster that's just been, you know, at the end of last year, we had sung their praises more than any. I don't think that they lost a single tournament that they played in Oceania last year. Like, it was just absolutely absurd, and unfortunately, they did fall off from that perch. Now, obviously, for disappointing reasons, both disappointing and saddening reasons, Diesel is no longer with the roster, and you've already said it, Molosca, that chiseled jaw, he has decided to really come on and fill the boots. I just don't know what to expect, honestly, Dev. I really don't know what to expect.
Well, I would like to expect great things from this Wildcard roster. I think you look at the players that we have here. Vinny and Molosca, obviously former teammates on the old Noble squad. Pachio, also former teammates on Rhythm way back in the day. Rin, the only OG left remaining. These guys are all incredibly talented. Milo and Vinny are honestly some of the best players that our region has ever produced. Milo in particular, I think a lot of people underrate like his contributions to shot calling and kind of just in general. He is a very mature guy. As young as he is, he only turned 18, I think it was last year. So he's a really, really great addition to this roster. And I think like you look at this team compared to the one with Diesel, like Diesel was amazing in his own right at specifically being a support player in IGL. Molosca's a bit more flexible than that. So in a way, some people could say in the current meta, this could be perceived as an upgrade.
Well, we'll wait and see. We still have a long way before we can ever call it that, and they have a lot to prove, but certainly they can do so. Bliss is who they're coming up against. A team that has really broken out in 2021, you'd have to say, Dev. They really performed incredibly in stage one. I think it was almost like 3 overtime wins. If they had even converted one of those, they would have been equal top with Knights, but unfortunately they ended up third due to that fact. And when we look forward, they honestly, with Jigsaw, like the names on this roster scare me no end.
Yeah, these guys are all gunners. You've got the 2 OGs, Shade and Todd, who've been playing Rainbow Six forever, like played in the first season of Pro League. And then you've got Repix and Oda, who've been around for a little while now. Both of them, super strong gunners. And Jigsaw, who's the new pickup, came in from LFO, and he was like the saving grace for LFO. When that team was just like getting absolutely destroyed, Jigsaw was still like dropping 20 kills. This guy is ridiculous. And clearly Bliss saw that. They plucked him up off of that August roster and have brought him in here. And what we get as a result of that is Bliss, a team with a lot of experience, a team that outperformed their expectations in stage one, but with an upgrade.
Yes, yeah. If there was one person to kind of counter the argument of how well Jigsaw played in stage one, I would have to say it was Repix. And the fact that both of those players are on the same roster now, it gives me a sense to be terrified for a lot of other teams. And honestly, the only way we can really get into it is by seeing them play. We did expect big things from Rufflecopter, but look where that led them. Unfortunately, they have not had the best start to the stage. However, we do have the vetoes ready, and we can get ready for our own matchup in this fourth and final of the night, Dev. And it does tend to beg the question, how much is this going to impact the actual gameplay? We do head to Cafe of all maps. We've seen the two-peat from both Cafe and Clubhouse tonight. Nothing out of the ordinary, unfortunately.
Yeah, okay. Well, I have an interesting stat for Bliss, but let's talk about Wildcard for a minute first, right? Most recent time they played Cafe was in their final game of Apex South. Last stage, they lost 7-1 to Invictus. Pretty terrible. They played Knights as well in OCN last stage, lost 7-4. They managed to beat Rufflecopter, but aside from that, you know, like beating Rufflecopter and LFO, really the only positive results for Wildcard in quite some time on this map. I sure hope they've been working on it during the break because they have some pretty significant losses, albeit to good teams. But the thing here is that for Bliss, they have not played this in the entire of Stage 1. And if I dig even further back, I have stats going all the way back to September. Bliss have not played this map.
Well, a pocket? I don't know. I feel like this is not the game to pull out a pocket map. It was their choice to go to Oregon or Cafe. They have obviously been preparing for this, and it's coming out very early on in the season. The fact that we haven't seen it, it does really make me feel like it's going to be a map that will do some serious damage to Wildcard. I remember seeing Wildcard play it, and there were some blaringly obvious issues that in their own style that they were bringing to that map. Let's just hope that with this, definitely the upgrade from Silex. We'll say that Silex, from Silex to Milo. Yeah, we all love Silex, but the upgrade to Milo, it will definitely give them a much better footing in this matchup. They need to utilize it, and they need to be able to do so now because they didn't have the greatest start in Apex South, but they can, however, back it up and really brush the dirt off their shoulder here. It is Cafe that we head to. It's Bliss and Wildcard, and it's our final match of Playday 1.
Wildcard have a lot to prove here. Molosca's debut is not everything they hoped for in their game yesterday against Invictus. I chatted to Rousty, their new coach, and he said they kind of just needed, to get over the jitters. They weren't playing to what they believe they're capable of, even at this stage. So with that out of the way, they are confident that they could do some damage here in OCN. But of course, the fact that Bliss has just been in such hot form, and the fact that this is a very surprising pick. I was talking to Rousty, he didn't expect Villa to go through yesterday in the Invictus game because Invictus always banned it. It's exactly what's happening here again, Rob, right? Like, this is the most banned map for Bliss, and still they let it through. I wonder, is Wildcard surprised at this? This is a really big deal. The fact that Bliss is, for the first time in at least 9 months, taken us to this map. I mean, it just means that Wildcard have no preparation for Bliss.
What does surprise me though, Dev, is it was either Cafe or Oregon. Like, Wildcard left them with that choice, and both teams don't play a hell of a lot of Oregon. So, I mean, like, obviously Bliss have played more Oregon than they have Cafe. That's very blaringly obvious, but the fact that it was left in either realm, it will be funny to kind of see how this one plays out, because if Wildcard don't have the read that they were looking for, maybe they were hoping it was going to go to Oregon. Maybe they were praying for that. But certainly so, a comfort pick is all out the window now, and it is going to be Wildcard that do start out on defense. So let's hope they can get off to a good start for Stage 2 of OCN. But I feel like Team Bliss may just be the anti-hero to their story.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a challenge for Wildcard here. I think that despite everyone on the predictions panel putting Wildcard down, I think that honestly, Bliss has the, like, if I had to make like a percentage chance, like, I would put Bliss as like 60-40 over Wildcard. Just, you look at previous history, like, Bliss should be the favored team. Like, I kind of was voting for my heart when I tipped Wildcard for this game, kind of hoping, because it's a sad story, right? You know, with Diesel going away, Sark's having to sub in. Finally, they have like a proper fifth in Molosca. They have a proper coach. Like, you want to see Wildcard have a resurgence, right? Not to take anything away from Bliss. There's just that narrative for Wildcard here. But I don't think it's going to be easy. Like Bliss, not only previously statistically have they been really, really hot as of late, but they look really relaxed right now. They look really ready.
Thank you to our wonderful, a special thanks, I should say, to the all wonderful player cams. It allows us to see a little bit more into the behind-the-scenes look. And
So good, isn't it? It's
it's
like the best change I think we've almost ever had, I reckon, on broadcast. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah. Well, my favorite thing was casting with you again, Dave.
Oh.
What was that?
That was me saying, oh.
Sure. Yeah, that's what it sounded like. 53% of you playing Wildcard.
Yeah.
The worst part is, you know, like when we were predicting this, I was under the same impression as you were. I kind of went for Wildcard more for the love than the reason. So I am really worried for everyone's prediction because Team Bliss are not to be reckoned with. They will absolutely destroy you without a second thought.
Well, starting on the attack does put the onus on Bliss's shoulders. So they start to go for a piano take. We've seen a lot of east side takes so far, but Mount on for this clear, full map clear as it is, of course. Basement, or kitchen, technically not basement, ground floor. Spotted out that yokai drone. I think that it was taken down. That's yokai. Not entirely sure. There's a player roaming up at Cocktail, but he falls back. Pat's yokai not taken down yet, fishing for information, but gotta be careful, doesn't have the cloaking effect anymore. So with the Gallo ping system, Bliss could drone it out, ping it, and then potentially take down this critical piece of utility early.
Well, they seem pretty unaware of its position for right now. Move and a sidebar away from that. It's really been quiet from Team Bliss as they start to push Wildcard back down onto the basement floor as if they were ever really contesting. It doesn't really seem like they were interested in doing so. Wildcard are quite the methodical team, so you want to make sure that you are crossing those T's and dotting the I's because they will punish you if you do not do so. The due diligence will be most important for Team Bliss, especially on this attack.
You say Wildcard a methodical team, but I think times are changing. We haven't necessarily seen it in their gameplay yet, but really the identity of Wildcard was what Diesel gave them. It was the methodical that just, he had a certain way of looking at the game, and being as an IGL, that just rippled through the rest of Wildcard. 40 seconds left though. Onus is still on Bliss to actually make something happen here. They might have vertical control, but a late 5v5 is going to be very difficult, especially without VIP control.
That's the problem, isn't it? A lot of the default pushes for most of the teams that we watch in OCN seems to be more so across toward that freezer, and Wildcard have a good setup to deal with that. Emo Rin in VIP waiting for those players to drop. He's actually going to sit back a little bit and allow them to contest. So that allows them an actual path in, but just like that, he's going to rip their heads off. Players now trying to contest him. Another one falls. And fighting the dust one by one, Wildcard brush aside Bliss in their first attack.
Beautiful play from Emo as well in VIP. Bliss tried to just go for the double drop freezer, but sometimes you really have to commit to clearing that VIP player. Maybe if Bliss had a man advantage, if they'd found a pick or two through the floor and it was a 5v4, 5v3, they really could have just found the place where Wildcard had less players and brute force that, but even 3v1ing Emo was not enough. 15 seconds left on the round, and that was a 5v5. Bliss finally pushed, but Wildcard happily received them.
They certainly did. Nice little welcoming present onto Cafe, and I'm going to answer some of our questions from what we were saying.
Early days.
It does feel like, yeah, very, very early days, mind you. It's probably more of a correct statement there, but...
I mean, I'm the king of getting ahead of myself.
Really? You truly are. That's okay. No, let's be honest. I think it's fair to say that we all do it from time to time. I mean, Raven and I were pretty guilty on riding the Knights out yesterday in their Elevate matchup, and look how that ended.
I don't blame you. I was expecting Elevate to win that as well, but it shows you can't count out Knights as a Wildcard. It's funny because even though everyone tipped Wildcard and the community vote was for Wildcard, like I have like my gut tells me Bliss is going to win this.
Yeah.
It's my gut. Like I feel like is that same for you as well?
100%, 100%. When I saw that everyone had predicted Wildcard, I was like, no, I wanted to be the hipster and stand out.
Yeah, same.
Now every single one of us is going to have egg on our face. Or we're going to be the biggest brain plays ever.
So like the only person I know who actually tipped Bliss is so we have the UB team that like manages OCN and esports in ANZ. There's 4 of us, right? And only one guy, Ryan, he tipped Bliss. Everyone else said Wildcard. All of our experts said Wildcard. And Ryan, you know, he's new to Ubisoft. He's new to Rainbow Six. So if he knows what's going on and nobody else does, then I think we all need to reevaluate ourselves and hail our new overlord.
I think it might just be time for that at this point. But we'll hold that thought for a hot second. It is Team Bliss that are trying to approach from the cigar side. And I mean, we saw how impactful some of those bans were in Map 1. And one thing I do really love to see is the fact that they have gone for the Flores ban very early here. An operator that we are going to see, I think, a lot of play of in this meta.
Minute and a half gone, and Bliss are going for this piano take. Like I mentioned earlier, in the Roffle LFO game, teams tended to favor those east side takes. Not the case here. Nice use of the explosive to open up that bar and reveal that anchor position. Emo starting to feel some pressure, but he's finished off from outside on the AC then. That's a really good angle, and it does give Bliss the man advantage. Not for long though.
No, it's very quickly traded out from Vinny. With a minute left, there's been a fair bit of contact so far. Is Milo trying to contest out there? It looks like he is. You can see Oda has now backed away as Milo's taking control of White Stairs. What is going on? It's 1-for-1s everywhere you look there, but 45 seconds left. Team Bliss are in the positive.
Just barely as they pick up Todd. Player top white, a player on white, 3 attackers starting to push in from Cocktail and Piano. It's so tough though, with all the angles open in backstore. Does become a bit of a game of timing as well. Are their Yokai still up? Shade going for this plant now. Pat, does he have the plant and all? He's not going to get it there in time. Shade's going to get this down. And now on one of the hardest sites to retake in the game, Wildcard has the work cut out for them. Pat and Milo got to step up, and Shade's shutting them down. Jigsaw to close it out. Bliss come to life.
Felt like a huge oversight from Wildcard there. It was Pat that was on the Echo with the Yokai, and unfortunately just nowhere near in a position to contest the Planet Trash. So it's a little bit unfortunate for that round. However, it still felt like Team Bliss were in control. A 4v3, they had site control. They were really starting to put the pressure on. I think even in the world where they're able to deny it, they would very quickly and handedly deal with the Yokai and go on to plant. Might have given Wildcard a little bit of a look back in, but they just need to move on, and that is exactly what Wildcard are going to do. No re-attempts on that third floor, straight into reading now. Maybe a little bit more success.
Yeah, look, I actually think reading is a stronger site than Bar. There was a phase, was it OCN 2020, where Bar was just such a terrible site and had like a 30% win rate or something? I think it was.
Wildly so, yeah. I don't know why. I have no clue what was happening then.
Yeah, honestly, like, I don't really rate that bomb site. Compared to like reading, like the way I always say this, but the way I think about reading is it's like Bar but with extras, right? Because you can hold on to Cocktail like with this extensive top floor setup we see here from Wildcard, while also C4ing any players that try and push up through Bar, and then even when the attackers take control of Cocktail, you just fall back to site and play time. You can roam downstairs. like, you're kind of vulnerable to fireplace, I guess people would say. But fireplace attacks are very hard to pull off. That room just becomes a kill box. So, I mean, I'm glad that Wildcard have made the rotation here instead of banging their heads against the wall on that bar site. Especially because typically, like, teams probably get more practice in attacking bar than attacking reading.
You know what, it's a perfect point you make about the fact that dining does become just a kill box, because it's exactly what you see with the way that, you know, players really go to town in the construction, if you will. It's a lot of footholds, it's a lot of murder holes that they can open up and play from, so it's not exactly ideal whatsoever to try and play for that. It does look like Team Bliss are going to try to sweep and brush aside this hold on the 3rd floor. I guess you kind of have to a certain extent there, Deb. I thought that was definitely the Gemini. I had no clue that was actually Red Pig's in. Mind blown.
And Bliss are establishing some good angles here, but are they really making progress? Oh, that's unfortunate. Jigsaw disconnecting. Repix uses a nade to cover his push up. Really good sound mask there. Though a trade coming through elsewhere does mean that Bliss are once again in the man disadvantage. Repix trying to push forward and take that bar player out. But Vinny upstairs has done some good work. And it's really falling apart here. Though Bliss, every time they've lost a player, they've also found one in return.
But they have still 2 players up on that top floor. I like this, but the problem is all that noise is now being made. They are clearing things out left, right, and center here. They may find themselves in a bit of a peculiar position as they try to make their way up of white stairs, as Wildcard are not contesting them whatsoever. And just like that, Milo almost will act as his own trap. At least he finds one, but with Shade trying to hunt down the remaining 2 members of Wildcard, you just don't think that this is all that achievable.
These 2 players upstairs have got the diffuser in their clutches. I wonder, was that Jigsaw who disconnected with the diffuser? Must have been. I didn't see a single player walk to bar, and there was no body there, so I'm pretty sure Jigsaw disconnected as he dropped down into bar. That is so unfortunate. Bliss really had no choice, and Wildcard played into it very, very well. Unfortunate situation for Bliss, but there you go.
Attackers have dropped the bomb.
Wildcard do take their 2nd round.
You just look back and I
was going to say it actually was not. It was not Jigsaw who had the diffuser, because I did actually see not the body, but you know the new, because the bodies are gone.
Yeah, the hologram,
got,
if you will.
The hologram. Yeah, I saw the hologram there, and that wouldn't be there if it was Jigsaw, I don't think. Plus, I saw blood, and obviously, if he disconnected, it wouldn't be blood. So, I mean, that's at least one.
You mean paint?
Paint, yeah, red paint. Chocolate sauce. I heard for Psycho, they actually used chocolate sauce as blood because it was a black and white film anyway, so like you couldn't tell that it wasn't red.
Imagine how tasty that would be.
Yeah, delicious.
It's a
fun fact.
It's a new idea. New idea for a bit of content. Just cover yourself in chocolate sauce and go black and white.
I'd be so down for that.
Oh man, we are just finding. I think it's more. This is not OCN. This is Fun Facts with Dev Marta.
Yeah.
It's the new hit podcast, kind of like the crime podcast that all of our partners listen to, but
yeah,
you know, more so with Dev and the fact you're not a partner. So I guess it's nothing like that at all.
Yeah, thanks, Rob.
Lean into that as much as you want, but you could see there was a very clear point for Team Bliss when they lost Jigsaw. They kind of knew that they had to make that round work, and you could see they very much tried to trade out as promptly as they could. But the numbers game will never favor you in a 4 versus 5 when you really haven't been able to use any of that utility from the one Jigsaw fella. And it'll be a welcomed round from Wildcard, a freebie nonetheless. And actually did not see what site we've gone to. That is basement. There we go, all the way down.
What do you mean basement?
No, not basement, first floor. It's potato.
Yeah, I do it all the time. Did it last round as well. Or earlier this game at least. Well, same for Bliss. Once again, just map clear. They eventually executed. It was round 1, right? Where Bliss attacked this bomb site. Of course, Wildcard have now waited 2 rounds since then, so it's unlocked again. But there was 15 seconds left on the clock when Bliss finally started to make a play on the site. Wildcard did this, like the kind of soft roam. A little bit of pressure off site, droned out, shoot the drone, get back on the site. And it meant that Bliss didn't even have VIP control. Emo found a 3K from that position. I think Wildcard should be pretty happy to just do the same thing again.
Oh, that's not the way you really want to start that one. Unfortunately, Milo gets caught. Now, there is still one player there in Dining, Dev. And you know for a fact they're going to drone it, but you always just wonder, what if? What if they, damn it?
Well, at least Geo does fall back before he gets droned and exposed. But this is, I really don't want to understate the advantage now that Bliss have set for themselves. Right, the difference between a late round execute in a 5v4 versus a 5v5 is really significant. It means that there's one less player from Wildcard to like hold an avenue, right? Like if you've got 5 players, you can in theory hold 5 different doorways at once, right? Or you can have multiple players stack up to refrag. But you know, there's a lot of different players where Bliss could push through it, and if eventually they go for that, like drop through the hatch, like maybe push like VIP at the end. Like if you've just got one extra player like pushing Kochek or pushing Baker, that can make the world of difference.
Yep. See, there we go. We see a Yokai, I believe that is. Am I going crazy? No, it is a Yokai on Pat moving back to the corner of Kitchen. So in a little bit more of a prime position. What we saw on that top floor defense. Love that. Oh, hello. They're already on site. They're already in freezer. They've just sent it. You know what? They're trading out, Dev. This is absurd.
But look at the Yokai drone. It's perfect. Hidden underneath the cabinet. The ping comes out as well. Pat loses the Yokai. Oh no, that was critical now. Bliss actually might be able to cover this. Todd's about to get this plant down. The vertical angle is really, really good. And it does mean that Geo can't swing the planter until the plant is confirmed. Oda's got this angle perfectly down, but can the player slip through? He cannot. And it's all on Vincia in the 1v3 retake. And he has just been red. What an execution.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy because Wildcard started out with those 2 kills on the players running through from freezer. Felt like Pat maybe mistimed the use of the Yokai. Could have waited a little bit longer to ensure that, you know, less time was there to use. I mean, regardless, Team Bliss left themselves with about 20 seconds as they started executing. You can see there. So they had so many times to reattempt that and look for that Yokai drone. It was just... That was really well played from Team Bliss, that entire round. And, you know, equal on the scoreboard now. Puts a bit of pressure on Wildcard here for the remaining 2 rounds.
I hate to be nitpicky there, but like, oh man, imagine if Pat, right after he used the burst, had just like gone back down to the floor and hit under that cabinet again. I don't think Todd would have been able to take it down. I think it would have been much more challenging. But Todd, instead of just trying to force the plant again straight away, like, he took a second to look for the Yokai drone. And once he took it down, Wildcard really had nothing left, like you say. Also, I guess just reiterate the point we said earlier that round, which is how much an impact a man advantage can have in the end of a round. Like, imagine Wildcard had one extra guy that could have held out on site. Maybe if Milo had survived and he was just playing in Kitchen and could have swung on the plants, or maybe he was going for a flank in the late round. Like, because Bliss had that man advantage, it meant that they could hold it down much easier.
So, are we going to see that typical shield hold from Vinny? That's the question in Cigar. Yeah, you'd have to imagine. I saw 2 ADSs on the wall there.
Yeah,
is there no shield right now? What?
Where did he put his shield then? There's two shields in this lineup, right? Echo and Ella. Both of them are deployed.
Yeah, one's in backstore and one's in the restroom.
Washrooms.
Washroom, sorry,
okay. Yeah, I mean, those are the default shields, but you would have thought, like, if you're bringing FA12 on Ella, you're going to, like you're saying, put one in Cigar. But no, it does mean that he's a little bit more vulnerable, but, I mean, the shotgun's still great in this angle.
Well, I guess we're about to find out. We're about to put it to the test. He's now going to start to get pushed a little bit deeper, and he's gone back into piano. This is not a great position. They've now taken the top of red control, and he's really just stuck between a rock and a hard place. Unless he can find the top. Did he just get behind piano? He did. So they may think that this is clear. You would have to say that they're droning this. And there you go, Repix getting the yellow pings. That's going to be the free kill. No!
Oh, no!
Emo Rin. You could be my hero, baby. Vinny thanking his lucky stars.
Well, Vinny does go down, but it's not a free kill, and that's what really matters here. Taking down Repix is big for Emo Rin, and Gio's also downstairs. He's opened up the angle to C4 into Cigar as well. Should Bliss get stuck there. And this shield in washrooms is very, very powerful, especially as Emo will not only have the ADSs, but the Wamai Frisbees to protect him.
Not to be confused with Digital's Frisbees, of course.
No, of course not.
Does love a good throw, but Emo Rin. It's low-hanging fruit, honestly. It really is.
Oh, I mean, Digital is always an easy roast. But let's have a look at what Wildcard's cooking up here as they just wait patiently. Bliss are the ones that got to make the move. Oda on the East Repel's nice. Expose a lot of positions and really restrict Wildcard's mobility. 30 seconds left. I want to know if these Yokais can actually have an impact because Team Bliss keep getting these plants down.
They do. Oh my goodness, how are the trades right now? It's a flurry of kills. Emo Rin left in a 1v2. Washroom's completely reinforced, so he has to try and maneuver around. I don't know whether Team Bliss know this, but they are going to be planning in a safe position behind the reinforced wall. Emo needs to very slowly and carefully progress toward the 1v1, but Oda finds it easily. I mean, that's safe and sound for Team Bliss.
I cannot believe that worked. Oda just repelled in through the east windows into Cocktail when there's like a player top white and a player Cocktail. I mean, that would be so frustrating for Pat. He's playing right there. We were spectating him. I didn't hear the guy repel in. How did that happen? Like, was it sound cover? I don't understand. But Wildcard probably should have won that round. And Oda certainly was, in my mind, the difference maker. I don't know whether another player enabled him to do that by covering or distracting somehow, but that is where a round just turns on its head. And of course, this game also turns on its head. We mentioned that Wildcard were impressed by them. We didn't want to get ahead of ourselves, but now Bliss have the lead on their attack, no less. We've seen how good defense on Cafe is. And our game earlier today actually had 9 out of the 10 rounds of Cafe be defensive wins. So Wildcard here, even a 3-3 half, is not par for the course.
No. And let's be honest, Dev, you're a bit more of a stats man than most people, so you're always going to sell that story, aren't you? Well, I'm going to sell a different story, and that is don't underestimate Wildcard. No.
I mean, I think I
no stats.
I think I overestimated Wildcard, honestly, man. Like, I tipped them for this game.
We all have. Oh, how the Titans have fallen, that's for sure. And I guess we are really looking for Wildcard to not only up their game, but show us just more. You know, not only are we looking for the wins, we want to see it in style. And oh god, this is a very dangerous angle. Vinny, goodness me.
I wonder what that would be like to contest as an attacker. Can't imagine it would be easy.
Oh. No.
It's
one of those, like, the issue right now is the fact that I just don't see what Wildcard did in that last round, Dev, to be on par with being achievable if they repeat this.
Yeah, and Wildcard have won this defense site once. That's at least something they have going for them. This is the third attack onto this bomb site. And Bliss have won one, lost one. Like you said, Bliss's win on this bomb site was kind of a bit sketchy, right? Like, they found one pick on the Roma. Their final execute probably shouldn't have gone the way it did. Like, Pat almost denied that. This Echo's not been as impactful as I would like, even though Pat's played it every single round.
Do this right now. At least Wildcard still have the 5 up. That is the big key factor that we were talking about. And very much so, the Echo. We have to see it come to light here. We absolutely have to see the impact of the Yokais, and what better site to do it on. Down on that first floor in kitchen.
Bomb located by attackers.
Once again, Team Bliss making excellent time in opening these vertical lines. They really have been making great time with a lot of their attacks.
Yeah, but that said, they're not finding any picks through the vert, which is okay if you're just flushing players into other positions where you can isolate and kill them. But we haven't necessarily seen that, and I like the way that Wildcard, like if we look at the top down, right? Like Wildcard are really occupying this kind of L of space through VIP and then all the way through that long hallway. I guess it's more like, I guess like an E, I guess. I don't know, you've got bakery control as well. It means Wildcard have so much, and now that Bliss finally push into the site, it's a 5v5 on the execute.
Well, it's going down. Are they going to be able to find it? There we go. But there's the problem. Down goes the Yokai drone. Doesn't look like they've got anything else to combat that defuser, and it looks like it's going to be secured. What is going on right now? It was literally a second off it that Pat and Emo are in. They have to go large here for Wildcard. You couldn't imagine it's going to be doable if they cannot achieve this. And Dev, this is not great whatsoever. Team Bliss have run away with the first half 4-2. All right. Not what we had really hoped for, and honestly, we got off to such a good start for Wildcard's defense. Now all of us are sitting there with a lot of egg on our faces for this prediction, and rightfully so, because Team Bliss, they are not messing around, not in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I really just was impressed. I think that the fact that Bliss were able to repeat their success attacking that site, even in a 5v5 execute, right? The first pick came down with 6 seconds left on the clock. And for Bliss to be able to achieve that with a lot of their players upstairs covering the Planter through vertical holes, that's really impressive. I really want to credit Bliss as really cool stuff we're seeing from them. Like you said, they are, I mean, I don't know about punching above their weight, because I feel like they are kind of in the same, if not a heavier weight class than Wildcard at this point.
Yeah.
But they're definitely showing that last season was not a fluke. What is this hold? Excuse me? Garage shield. Can we... Oh! Oh, is he spawn picking using a Yokai through the drone hole?
Oh, that's disgusting.
This is straight out of casual. That's what this is. And already, first pick.
Oh man, I really pray that we get to see this. Geo going down, he has not had a good start at all. The Church of Geo is definitely not in session today.
That's for damn sure. Geo's not been quite, so tempted to go for this. Droned out by Vinny. Repic's just going to fall back.
Smart.
I mean, you could say, yeah, I mean, especially if he doesn't have any utility to protect that shield. But, you know, you could say a bit of a waste of utility, because that shield now not going to get utilized. But, I mean, if it slows down Wildcard and eventually wins the round, it's worth it, right?
Did he just hit that yoke? Did Vinny hit it?
He got it. I saw the little sparks.
Well, that's what I saw, but I could also see debris from him shooting the concrete, so you never know.
I could see debris, but I could also see the sparks.
The sparks. The sparks is what you got to know these things. So, it again, just really not the best for Wildcard. It feels a little bit disjointed. They're still trying to deal with whatever that play was out the front, or kind of out the side, if you will. And now they're going to start to get to town on demolishing. That's a free kill if I've ever seen it.
Yes.
Has to be confirmed, and that's a big one. Oda off the board.
Yeah, and it's actually, funnily enough, the first vertical kill we've seen all game. On these kitchen attacks, Bliss struggled to find any vertical picks because of the way that Wildcard abandoned the site and just played kind of this donut almost around the site instead, which is now where Bliss is occupying, right? Like, you've got players Bakery, Small Bake, VIP. But since that spawn pick came through from Oda, I feel like it's not such a big deal that he's dead. Yes, he can't use the Evil Eyes late round, but at least it's a 4-on-4. Emo, struggling at that camera, but really getting aggressive here on Repix.
Oh, love that. Unbelievable use. Repix, unfortunately, not going to be able to fight that whatsoever. And now Wildcard are looking a lot better. That is both Oda and Repix down, who, of course, Maestro and the wonderful Echo. They are now not going to be able to really have their full effect. Vinny will slowly poke and probe with how low his HP is, Dev. This is really important that they convert this.
Here's the plant. Vinny can't jump through. He will die to the gate, and he has no util to burn it. They've got to cover the plant. It's not going down. Milo, you got to get that plant on the ground. He starts it, and now they have to cover. They absolutely have to. No choice in the matter. Jigsaw trying his best, but pushed back by the air jab. Emo chases for it. The initial whiff, but he's got it with the Magnum. Wildcard managed to finally get an attack round.
I actually think the placement of that air jab may have just saved Wildcard, because it kind of felt like he almost won that engagement. That is outrageous that Wildcard have converted that round. But
very similar to what we saw from Bliss, honestly. Like, Bliss were just barely forcing his plant down, and the defense was struggling to deny that. Very much the same story here. Yeah, the difference is Wildcard actually took VIP, which Bliss didn't really do.
I mean, it's a fantastic point. Didn't really, wasn't going to highlight that as much, but one thing I did want to highlight is the fact that both of these teams have made good timing on opening up those vertical lines and also utilizing them as well. It's one thing to obviously put pressure on site and turn up the heat in the kitchen, if you will, but it's another thing to be able to capitalize off the back of it. And with Wildcard being down the man, they did really well to convert that round.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it goes to show you can have Geo spawn peaks. It's not the end of the world. Just get back on that horse. And the thing I really loved from Wildcard was just Emo Rin so eager. Like, he had no hesitation peeking VIP. It's just like flashbang. Vinny sends in the concussion, and Emo's so ready to take that fight. Really good stuff from Wildcard. But Bliss was so close to winning that as well. And so it's and at this point, Bliss kind of have a couple buffer rounds. Yeah, they're 1 round in front at the moment, which doesn't seem like a big lead, but they have the defensive side. You'd expect them, all they got to do is go 3-3 on this defense half, and then they win the game, at worst, 7-5. So they really have everything going for them right now.
I mean, that's all they have to do, right? You make it sound so easy. Juicy, is that you?
I've been inspired.
You just love how honest it is. But, you're not bloody wrong, are you? It's certainly just about making things a little bit more simple than what they are sometimes. And right now for Team Bliss, they just need to really convert, two of their preferred site and one of their less preferred, and they'll be absolutely cheering. But with Kitchen not being the greatest contest, guess we do look to the 3rd floor for hope. Our Wildcard going to attack. We cannot allow Team Bliss to get off to a good start in this second half. They haven't done so yet. Oh, Jigsaw, see you later. Emo, ciao. My goodness.
Yeah, I mean, I love a good C4, and Jigsaw gets away with his life, falls back. Also, Emo going down, that's one of the big gunners that we've seen for Wildcard. Had a bit of a shaky day yesterday, and, with the camera earlier, but, I mean, he's got the gusto to take those fights, and he's going to have to sit out now. Wildcard are going to have to rely on someone else for the entries. Already just good showing from Bliss. Is this going to be followed up with a nade, though? That's my question. The flashbang is perfect, and that is the nade from Geo. What a showing from Wildcard. That is the Wildcard that we have grown to know and love.
Certainly is. Oh, now that line from Jigsaw, that's going to cause a fair bit of problems for Wildcard if they don't leave enough time here. I mean, you really have to hit your shots. It's one of those things where, you know, you have to hit those, you absolutely have to hit this. Now, he hasn't seen that player push into backstore, and that could be a huge issue, but Oda is stepping up on site. Milo, my goodness, was trying to get something done. It's all on the Jigsaw here, Dev.
Recovered the diffuser.
He opened up this round, and he's going to have to close it. Geo and Vinny to cover. Oh my god! That angle! Vinny was exposed! Suddenly, it's flipped on its head. Geo's so low on HP. And Jigsaw is the new pickup for Bliss, and he's doing so good. Geo has to land these shots prone on the angle. Geo has no choice. Jigsaw! The 1 versus 2 clutch. Bliss are thankful that the rookie of stage 1 is now on their side.
God tier play. God tier Jigsaw. Unbelievable. That was Wildcard's look back into the game. It's still not out, but definitely when you look back at that round, a 1v2, everything was going for Wildcard. But for one name is all it takes sometimes, and that name is Jigsaw. He has been phenomenal since he stepped in to Tier 1 ANZ Siege, Dev, and he is backing it up here in Stage 2.
Tactical timeout for the Wildcard boys. That was really just such a pivotal round to lose. Not only was it because they kind of threw that lead, but that is giving Bliss what I call break point. You know, when you're on 5, like, all Bliss need is 1 round and they guarantee points. Like, it's not necessarily the win, but they guarantee they will get points from this match because of the way that even if you lose in overtime, you have that 1 point. So if Wildcard want to take the 3 points home today, they got to sweep from here, 4 rounds in a row. And look, honestly, they look a bit stressed. We've seen a lot of lively teams today, but they look pretty scared, pretty stressed. And sometimes all it takes is the tiniest of mistakes, like Vinny being exposed to top white on that plan.
Yep. All right. Looking forward for Wildcard now. Do we see the same success for them in their first attack? On mining. Interesting. We don't... I mean, I feel like we don't see a lot of mining defenses in OCN. I'd love to go back and have a look at the actual statistics to back that up, but it is a site that I feel gets neglected so much.
Yeah, definitely by far the least played site on this map, and one that I don't know, I guess it's just not really seen a lot of play because I've already talked about why reading is so good. People still love bar, and it does have a pretty decent win rate these days. Kitchen, same. So mining is kind of just like the odd one out. Like, I think if you didn't have your first site unlocked after 2 rounds had passed, you'd probably see a lot more mining. I don't think it's a bad site per se. I just think like you only have to play 3 different objectives, so people don't feel the need to go to a 4th one. Unless if you're a team like Bliss and you're really kind of keen to not only, I guess, flesh out your strat book, but like really deepen it as well, and show that you're not just a team that, I guess, is deep, but also has a lot of breadth and a lot of options and opportunities that you're happy to go with. Nice run out there for Todd, traded back, but I'm sure that Bliss aren't too upset about that. For Todd, it is his first kill in the game. So
You beat me to it. Oh no, we missed out. We missed out.
He was
James
007!
No!
No way!
We missed
How did we not notice that?
No!
That is gutting.
I don't even care what happens this round. I'm so disappointed in us, Dev.
Oh man, that is... So you don't understand, guys. Like, for a caster, that is gold. That is like the moment we all wait for. The 007. We write those jokes. You know, we wake up at 4 AM, sweating, thinking, oh, I need to write down that joke, and then just miss the opportunity.
And the feels bad. Vinny looking for the contact. The other side of Todd actually getting that kill. Sorry, I kind of forgot to mention that because I was too worried about the 007, is the fact that Todd traded out for Emo. And Emo has been playing fantastically for Wildcard right now. So the trade between Todd and Emo is monstrous. The other side of that is Todd has no impact with that cardiac sensor for the rest of the round. For the rest of the 2.5 minutes that we have to play, he cannot transfer any intel.
Oh, Vinny. Gotta wait like half a second before the gate actually deactivates. It shows a bit on edge. Another point about Emo going down first is that's the flank watch, which means you have to dedicate more players to drones and actually hard watching flanks. The other thing is with Milo going down, that's a lot of your soft breach. I wonder, do Wildcard know it's mining? Like, surely they do. Because, I mean, they are set up as if it's a reading attack. I know the attacks are very similar for both. Okay, they surely know it because Gio's right here. I do wonder what the push is, what the play is.
Oh, Gio!
Oh, no!
Goodness me. That was nearly a massive opportunity for Team Bliss to turn the tides, but in fact, it's Wildcard that have come out the better on that occasion, and now they're just going to have to try to send it in and trade out.
Oh, no!
Oh,
Repix!
Stagger in, and Repix just picks them apart one by one like dominoes. They fall, and that is match point for Team Bliss.
Big moment for Repix on the site. It shows that the 2x optic is fine for close range engagements as well. He just mows down those 3 Wildcard players. Man, that tactical pause did not get Wildcard back on their bikes and back rolling. If anything, Bliss is just storming away. I must say, I think that we've got to attribute this largely to Bliss's insane attack half. 4 out of 6 attacks, I think you very rarely lose those on Cafe. After you get a 4-2 attack round half, all they've done is win 2 defenses, right? Like, if this was a 2-4, like, let's say Bliss's half had been first and it was like 2-0, that would be no big deal. But just because of the attack being so strong from them, they're now on match point. I've already taken 1 point for the standings. And honestly, I don't see a world where they don't take all 3.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy because, like, you know, very rarely does a team lose that kind of advantage. But I'll tell you one thing, Repix never loses those.
I hear he's the best player in OCE when it comes to his soccer skills.
Yeah, maybe player. Sure.
Yeah. So what do you think? Maybe we have a caster that might be able to take a fight to him? Challenge him? Yeah.
Come at me.
We need to do that. You know, when we get lands back, Repix versus Manic Monday, the 1v1s.
Of course, we're not talking about fighting. We're talking about soccer.
Yeah.
I wanted to make that very clear.
Penalty shootout. You're the keeper. He's the shooter.
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong there? I have nothing to lose in that case, so I like that. Now, Todd, surely you're not about to do this again. Look at all the intel he's getting this time. And because he doesn't lose his life, he can fall back and continue to convey where the members of Wildcard are. This is not looking good whatsoever. A minute off the clock, and Wildcard now are going to need to start putting a little bit of pressure on that top floor.
One of the things I'm really loving from Bliss is this is the 4th bomb site they've been to. They have done the full rotation. Now they're on reading. They've won Bar Cocktail and Mining, and instead of going back to Kitchen, which they lost, I mean, you've got a deep strat book. Use it.
Hope so.
This is really where we just got to look at Wildcard and be like, come on, guys. You really need to step up here and now. And on for this attack, mostly a lateral push, not a lot of pressure upstairs. It's risky. It's risky, and I'm scared for them. I just don't think that this kind of a risk will go unpunished by Bliss, especially now that they have the man advantage with Milo going down.
Yeah, it kind of goes from bad to worse. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And on match point, there are just no more mistakes that can be made. This is a really dire situation for a roster that we had so much high hopes for coming into this stage. And still so many questions to ask. Gio has to punish that. Unfortunately, can't see through the smoke. Dev, 40 seconds. Are they even going to find anything?
Would be a desperate execute for Pat to push on through, but Gio's found the opening. If Vinny can do some damage here, this might be winnable.
Big.
That's big for Vinny, and he closes that kill as well. Wildcard out of absolutely nowhere, spring into action, keep their dreams alive.
So vitally important there. It really did not feel like Wildcard were in a position to win that round whatsoever. But you know what they say? It's all about winning those ones. And I mean, for lack of better analysis, which just should be the motto of my casting, winning your ones really just turns the tide, doesn't it?
I mean, the fact that they've been down in the dumps yesterday to Invictus and today against Bliss, and Wildcard still has the guts to just be like, all right, boys, like we don't have a great attack here. We're not really doing the whole methodical top take thing. We're in a 4v5. Just send it. Yep. You have like the pressure from the Hibana holes in the reading wall. You've got Vinny. I mean, I said he's got to have an impact, and my God, he did. I mean, if he didn't win that first fight, I reckon that's a Bliss round.
Could well be. It could well be. I think, you know, that is very reminiscent of what we saw from Knights, literally last game. You know, on some occasions, they literally just had to send it. And maybe they didn't do all their due diligence, maybe they didn't completely clear angles, but sometimes it just works. Brute force is a... what is the best way of saying this? It's beautiful chaos is what it is. And more often than not, that chaos can cause so much confusion. And in that case, maybe the confusion didn't work, but certainly the one-on-ones did. And if Wildcard take that mentality, obviously not every single round, but in some of their playstyle, I actually think that teams will start having to respect the fact that that is a possibility. Right now, it feels like a lot of what Wildcard do on their attacks is leave it to the last minute, and it just becomes very, very much of a cluster toward the last 10, 20 seconds.
I want Wildcard to embrace their aggression. You've got so many players here that are kind of renowned for being gunners, right? Like every one of the players on this team is kind of renowned for being a bit of a gunner. Nemo's once again the opening death. How does Jigsaw fend off those drones and still win that? How is Jigsaw 14 kills and 4 deaths?
This guy is just disgustingly good at the game. The fact that he could do this on LFO and is now doing this on Bliss, ridiculous, Dev. Absolutely outrageous.
Jigsaw has only died in the rounds that Wildcard have won. And that's not because he's like sitting on site not doing anything. He's got 14 kills! It's ridiculous. Jigsaw is just next level. I mean, I was skeptical of him on LFO. Yeah, he put up big numbers, but I thought what's going to happen if he's actually, you know, on a higher level team and a team that's, I guess, playing with a bit more structure. It doesn't matter. I mean, he's been so good here, and we said Bliss was good last stage. Now they've got an upgrade. That is definitely the case.
A lot of teams are going to have to be careful of this. Certainly has not been the entrance into stage 2 that Wildcard would have been hoping for, nor in APAC South, and then in OCN. Team Bliss looking to deliver them their first loss of stage 2 for OCN. There's just so many things here that do not bode in a favorable sense. Now Oda will have to be cautious from behind. This is really nice work from Wildcard to flush this out.
That said, Oda still has a gas left, and Gio doesn't have a proper way in through this breach. Oda could do some serious damage, and he takes down Pat. Oh!
Oh, Dev, not only does he take down Pat, but he takes down Wildcard. The Team Bliss roster are absolutely outrageous. That is such a solid performance from a roster that showed us so much promise and performed to a very high level in stage 1, very clearly backing it up here in stage 2.
Another day at the office for Bliss. 15-4 for Jigsaw. A rookie of OCN 2021. Absolutely no doubt about it. Imagine going plus 11. He wasn't once the opening death. What a absolute nutcase.
he is really, he's kicking butt and taking names. That's the best way to put it. That guy is a force to be reckoned with, because you just don't know, like, how do you stop that? How do you deal with a player that can just dunk on you consistently? Look back at stage 1. This performance is not abnormal. This is consistent.
I saw some good moments from Wildcard, but it was just nowhere near what Bliss had, which was the ferocity that we saw from Bliss in stage 1 amplified. And I think, I do wonder, like, if it wasn't for a little moment, like, when we saw that ridiculous clutch from Jigsaw on the Melusi in the 1v2, like, if it wasn't for something like that, would Wildcard have had a way back into the game? Because ever since that clutch, it was just Bliss through and through.
Yeah, there certainly moments where you saw the charm of Wildcard. This was definitely not one of them. 3 players staggering in. I mean, even Xenox could confirm those. You know, like that's the kind of that's the kind of dig I'm gonna make. But just an all-round great performance from Team Bliss on their attack, and then backed up on their defense. You love to see them get rowdy. It's just, it's a beautiful sight to see, and so are those score lines. Wow.
It's ridiculous. The guy with the most kills in the whole game is also the person with the most deaths. That's not common. Like, in comp, obviously, like, maybe in ranked, you would see score lines a bit more like that. But in comp, right, like, if you're an entry player, if you're on the front line, you're only expected to win, like, 60% of your fights. You're not expected to only die in the rounds where your team loses. 4 deaths over 11 rounds while still maintaining 15 kills is ridiculous. That is almost a 4.0 KD.
Hey, Dev, do you want to know what's... It may not be a 4.0 rating, but it's certainly a 3.0 rating. The highest we have seen today, and
ridiculous.
Deservedly so. It's just... What do you even say? What do you do? What do you say? It's so good to see that the form from stage 1, it wasn't just, you know, kind of the new dog on the scene, you know, not necessarily the top dog by any means, but certainly kicking the door down, as I mentioned before with LFO. Jigsaw's just done that here. But for Team Bliss, I mean, what is 2021? What are we even in store for? Because if we thought that stage 1 was hard to predict, how on earth are we going to find our way through this maze?
I have no idea. And when you look at Wildcard right now, you look at the scoreboard, you look at the fact that over 11 rounds, Wildcard found 2 opening kills, Bliss found the other 9. It's pretty obvious here who the gunners are in the server today. Bliss running rings around Wildcard. Just ridiculous. And it does make you wonder, you know, after a pretty insane regular season in stage 1, only losing to Chiefs and Knights, Bliss, while they did fall short to Roffle in the playoffs, they've shown that stage 1 was not an anomaly. They're here to play for stage 2 and looking to go even deeper than the 4th place they took previously.
Well, is it possible? Let's find out from Oda himself. We've got him on the line. Let's have a chat. Good to see you once again, old chap. It's been a little while. I mean, that is ridiculous. You guys have really put Wildcard back in their place, and all of our predictions back in their place. How's it feeling that this is the start of stage 2?
Really good, honestly. Like, I was super keen for this season, and then like that game just made me even super keen for the rest of it. Like, during the prep phase of this season, it just felt so good coming into it, and I'm just excited for the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, coming into stage 2, you guys did make one roster change. You brought on Jigsaw. Now, he hadn't really been seen in the past before 2021. Kind of came out of nowhere on LFO, and despite LFO not doing so great, he looked like a decent player. How do you feel like he's going with the team so far?
Oh, he's a demon. Can you look at him? He's a demon. He's just outgunning everyone, entries, like everything. He's unstoppable, honestly. Like, he's one of the best. I'm just going to say it. He's one of the best I've ever seen.
Honestly, I don't think anyone from the casting team would disagree with that. And especially tonight, he even showcased it. It's just, you know, I was saying it before, it's absolutely outrageous. Now, you did mention, of course, the prep for this season coming into it. What have you guys been doing in the off-season? Have you been working your butts off?
Yeah, we've been double booking scrims like almost every day. We've been working more on other maps instead of, it's the basic maps. So yeah, I guess that's just been like good from us. And I don't know, just doing more as a team, where last season we struggled to even find scrims. We had a lot of net issues and stuff. So just the prep in general has been a lot better this season.
Yep, no, that's totally fair. Dev?
Yeah, well, I mean, you mentioned the prep work that you've done going into the season. You mentioned the roster change. I guess I just want to pose a question. Do you think that Jigsaw was the final piece of the puzzle for Bliss?
100%. 100% is the final puzzle piece. And yeah, I reckon, top 2 this season, boys, I reckon.
Oh, look, to be honest, from what we've seen already, we have apps. There's no doubting it. You guys had an incredible stage 1. And I'll be honest, Oda, we are incredibly excited for you guys heading into stage 2. We'll let you go and celebrate with the team, but congratulations, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Cheers, boys. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Of course, we won't see you tomorrow night. We will all see you tomorrow night.
On.
Yeah, what did they do recently? Like, IS?
International. No, don't know. Doesn't matter.
I don't know. They did some remote thing. I don't know what they were doing.
I know that Guz has never done a LAN. I know that.
Yeah, very true. Very true. I don't think Xenox has ever done a Rainbow Six LAN either. So, like, the whole discussion is just irrelevant completely. That's totally fine. We'll just move on from there. But what a crazy night it's been, Dev. I mean, what a way to kickstart stage 2.
Yeah, I think that overall we had expectations going into this season that it was going to be tight once again. And I think that while some of our games might not have shown that with these dominant scorelines for Chiefs over Order, Knights over Rhythm, I think that it's only the first day and the first step. I think teams like Rufflecopter, Order are definitely going to come back. I expect them to be quite dangerous. Rufflecopter proved that last season with their 3rd place finish through playoffs. Rhythm, I don't want to count out either, because like we said against Knights, like they had some really good moments despite falling 7-2. And I don't know whether this is wishful thinking, but I do feel like Wildcard have so much to show that they just haven't like more time to develop with Milo and Rousty, and I think that they can be once again not just a top 4 team, but even better. But for now, like Bliss and Knights and Chiefs have shown their utter dominance.
They certainly have, and a couple of people that haven't shown their dominance. They're on the casting panel. They're actually on the predictions panel. Let's have a look at how woeful we have done. It's so sad to see that we all pick the same people. There's no banter whatsoever because we're just atrocious at this. Look, 2 for 2, I feel, is a good night in OCN.
Yeah, well, it's the thing about everyone predicting the same is everyone gets the same scores, which is incredibly disappointing because everyone knows that self-worth and ego is determined by how many correct predictions you get, and that's why Guz's head is so big, because he does tend to get some good predictions. And, I'm just disappointed that at the moment we're all sitting on the same standings. But hey, come the next Playday, I'm sure we'll see some more change-ups, and I think OCN will be continually difficult to predict.
Certainly will be. It always has been, and it always will be. And stage 2 is a very clear indication of that. Now let's have a look at our MVP of the night, Dev Mardo. We're going to be jumping right into it with Juicy, who, look, just the entire roster of Knights had an incredible night. There's no doubt about it. Even though Rhythm looked so good, they were just shut down at every turn, and Juicy was definitely one of the highlight players for us.
Absolutely, and look, I will put a disclaimer because no doubt there are people in chat who are like, what about Jigsaw? What about Jigsaw? I'm sorry, guys. We had to determine the MVP like earlier tonight when we were tossing up between one of the Knights players and one of the Chiefs players. So yeah, sorry, Jigsaw. Of course, he's kind of in his own category, but let's give a moment to Juicy. I love that we have the player reactions live with all of his plays. Like, here it even said, like, sometimes they didn't manage to achieve what they wanted in terms of the preparation for the rounds, the preparations for the executes, but they were always keen to send it. How many times have we seen Juicy, despite playing the Thermite, just so keen and ready to go straight in there?
I am loving this player cam. I don't care about anything else that's happening on the screen right now. My eyes are stuck on Juicy. This is incredible to see. I am so keen to see what happens when it's a closely contested game with one of these MVPs, because I'm sure it's going to be absolutely mental for some of them. But certainly Juicy is well deserved of that. You know, he is the figurehead at the moment for us. Every time we talk to Knights, we are talking to Juicy, and there is something so methodical and calm about him. It's almost calming for me when I speak to him. It's beautiful to see. Let's have a look at the standings and see where the teams lie after play day 1. Chiefs out on top, LFO shortly behind them. And of course, because we didn't really have any overtime wins or losses, there is no need to really dive into it too much. But this is where we see ourselves. Shocking to see LFO nearing the top, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think they upset a lot of people by winning tonight. Now, because we've only had one play day and we've only had no overtime matches, like only regulation games today, means that all the teams that won got 3 points, all the teams that lost got 0. So, of course, four-way tie for first and four-way tie for fifth, I guess. But, yeah, I think we can start to make some inferences so far. I feel like the Knights we saw today was super dangerous, even though they had some little mistakes. I definitely think that they're probably going to be in contest with Chiefs for number 1. I would love to believe in the Bliss stream, but I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of unproven players like at the top level on that team. And while they're amazing and I respect them, like it's still quite hard for me to say that they'll be above Chiefs and Knights, at least come playoffs. But, you know, we'll see. As for the bottom half, like, I feel like the main team here I'm disappointed in is Rufflecopter.
Yes. Yeah. It certainly coming into this season, all the prep for me was around, you know, like which teams were really going to be challenging at the top. And for me, it was Rufflecopter and it was Team Bliss. Those were the two teams I was looking to break into that top 4. I believe for Bliss once again, and for Rufflecopter, they might have just been shy in stage 1. I'm just having a very quick look back now. No, they came in top 4 right underneath Bliss. Now, both of those teams really have shown us enough for us to believe in them. But Ruffle today just have not given us enough of an indication that we are right or wrong, to be fair. It was really a one-way street in that LFO match. So I will definitely be keeping my eyes peeled to see what Rufflecopter do tomorrow night, because that's how soon we're actually playing. It's not like we're going to have a week off. We're going to be seeing these teams again tomorrow. And for Ruffle, that is their redemption arc. They have to show us what they've got and in 24 hours.
Yeah, for sure. And look, I'm also going to say that, you know, in regards to that Rufflecopter LFO game, LFO, good on ya. They only won a single match in all of last stage, and they didn't even push any of their losses to overtime, which meant that they only had 3 points at the end of it. Now, that one win they did get was against Chiefs, the eventual champions, but something about LFO, they tend to have Chiefs' number, which we kind of touched on in the digital interview today. I feel like LFO, now that they've got a win on Ruffle, like even if they don't get many other points, I feel like they've actually got a really good chance of not being last and maybe even breaking it further than that. Like, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but considering they'll probably have a good matchup against Chiefs, and then you look at like maybe their rhythm game will be close again, I think that LFO have a really good shot here, which is exciting. Of course, not only are these teams playing for the $100,000 that's on the line, but also, come the end of the year, we will have relegations. We have the OCL on at the moment as well, where the Tier 2 of OS is playing for a spot in this league. And these teams are going to have to defend their positions in this league. So a team like LFO wants to escape those potential relegation spot come the end of the year.
Certainly will. There's really a lot on the line for a lot of these teams. There's glory and money if you want to, but there's also that disappointing time right at the end. We saw it happen to Rhythm. Fortunately enough, they managed to find their way back into OCN this year, but you don't want to be leaving it until the last second. The Speckin', wow, that was so good. Speaking of the last second, there we go. We are at the close of the show, ladies and gents. We'd like to thank you very much for joining us here on the Playday numero 1. We'll be back tomorrow night, same place, same time for all of the action. 2 average casters will be taking you through that. Until then, enjoy. On a competitive level.
Oh, hello!
Double-edged.
No! The cover! That is a little thing from the Garen, a little bit further back. Oh! Surely OJ gets this! What is that shot from Apex? or AFX. I don't care if you're landing shots like that. I'll call you whatever you want, man. And another one.
It's a step a little bit closer. Time's ticking down. Oh, bouncing.
Oh my God!
Now Bisho going for the plant. It's covered by both players. And now, oh my goodness. Stay alive here. How is he still alive?
What?
That's absolutely absurd. And God Legion is now looking to, oh no, my goodness. How does he still manage to come away from God Legion? That is absolutely absurd.
Practicing his siege as much as he's been doing his weights. He's gonna have to isolate these two 1v1s. Gets the first on for the trade. Dino locks that down. It's too late for him to really try and... Oh, he actually might be able to land it. Oh, balls of steel. Drex. And Jigsaw's the new pickup for Bliss, and he's doing so good. Geo has to land these shots. Prone on the angle. Geo has no choice. Jigsaw, the 1 versus 2 clutch. Bliss.
I'm running out of time. I'm running on a feeling so. I'm running out of time. I'm running